Yeah, so like, I joined the military at about 19, and it was a bit of an impulse thing, really. I remember watching a TV channel many years ago. It was called it was something soldiering. It showed you like recruits going from phase one,
Yeah,
soldiering, like joining the army. And I thought, oh, that looks like that. So I joined it. My dad wasn't too pleased. My mum wasn't either, but I was like 19. I've got to do something, and I was bored of hanging around with my mates and all the Revving Kevin car scene. And I was like, there's only so much you can do with that. You know what I mean? So I thought, do it. I joined, and yeah, I went through phase one. That was very interesting. I think it's phase one is just about like trying to get you in the right mindset for the army to see if you are the right person for it,
yeah,
and they weed out the people they want to do. So everyone in the army, like whether you go as a cook, a marine, or whatever, different like branches, you go through a phase one training. Everyone goes through it. Like so, it's just like teaching how to march, the basic weapons, and like fitness, like a lot to do with, like I say, get your head in the right place to make sure you are the right person for the job. So I think 60 something started, and I think 48 passed out in the end.
yeah. That's
So
quite
that was a literal. Go on, sorry.
it's quite a lot, isn't it? I would have thought more people would have dropped out, or do they expect more people to pass?
See, this is the thing, right? I mean, I think the problem is that the guys who are training you, sergeants and corporals, they're under pressure from the training team to get as many through as they can because
Yeah,
they've got quotas to hit. But then there again, from a soldier's point of view, they're then obviously saying if someone's not good enough or not fit enough, they shouldn't be put through. So I think there's a lot of you raised a good point now. I think there's a big problem where if someone on the line is not quite good enough, or are they good enough? Do you just put them through anyway? I don't know, or do you just chuck them out? So again, you're right. That's a
I
good way of
suppose it
looking at it.
depends what they're doing, doesn't it? Because I'd think like if like I'd border on if you're not fit enough and you go into I don't know, obviously some of the most dangerous places, Iraq, Afghanistan,
Yeah,
things like that.
yeah,
If you're not fit enough, you're
yeah,
signing up for
yeah.
the death sentence, aren't you? Really?
Yeah, and I think as well it's the mindset. I mean, I've got a few stories from phase one. This lad, he didn't pass out in the end, but again, this is what phase one is. He was a Northern Irish lad, Macamoy, I think his last name was Macamoy. I can't even pronounce it, but he was a big Irish lad, and we were on like exercise first night, which is like after a few weeks in base, they send you out like into a field, and you learn the basics of soldiering. Like everyone does it, like how to dig a shell scrape, how to like do a defensive position, and like cook food, and the real basics, like nothing too strenuous. And the one night the corporal said to us, before you go into bed, like you look like sleeping bags under your poncho, like which is like a shelter from the weather. He said, make sure when you climb in, you take your boots off, put your leave combat bottoms on, take your tops and smocks and stuff off, because you'll get over sweat and you'll get hot. And when you wake up, you'll be damp and you get out and you'll freeze, you get out. So in the middle of the night, he'd come along checking everyone because he felt this kick in the back of your head and like, wake up, stand up, go out of bed. Yeah, you're in the right kit. You're in the right kit. He went down the line and thought, what's this all about? Next minute, because it's dark, what the he's got his corporals going mad. And I thought, what the hell's going on? Next minute, kit on, and we're crawling up and down this gravel, like proper, like it's a gravel sharp track on our hands and knees, crawling up and down it all night. And our belt buckles, my knees, my elbows are red raw. And every time if you got your butt too high, he'd come along, stamp on you and say, get down, get lower. So you'd like all night doing that. And we found out basically at the end of it, he got us all together at about an hour doing it on top of this hill with weapons above our head for like standing there. He said, why are you here for? And we're like, well, no one knows. He said, I told you guys. He said, sleep with your boots off, trousers on, t-shirts on only because you're gonna get sweat. But Macamoyle here, and he pointed to Macamoyle. He didn't do any of the beasting, just stood and watched us all. So he watched the whole like 8-9 of us up and down this night all night. Well, he sat there in his like sleeping bag, all nice and warm, watching us. And he said he obviously wants to work on his own, so he can sit on his own and he can watch you like get the punishment for it. And do you know what? And it sounds really brutal, but I think it's that mentality to say like, if he's not going to listen and let simple structures down now in the field, could he just like fall asleep on stag, or like, which is like guard duty? Someone could come in, kill everyone. So I think it's like little things like that, but they like hype it up just to get that. If you can't do this, you're not going to do what you said in a war zone. You're not going to be able to do this. Do you make
Yeah.
sense? I
That's
think it's that type of
that's
brutal.
crazy, really, because you think like he's the one not being punished for not
Yeah,
listening, but it's true because it's kind of right. This is what's going to happen if you don't
yeah,
be a team, if you
like
don't listen
yeah,
and do what you have to do.
yeah.
So you joined up as a soldier, or
Yeah, I joined in the infantry, so I was a bit my dad wanted me to join something like engineers but I just love I was very adrenaline, like paintball, airsoft. I loved running around, playing football. I was very much like, like you said, like in my younger days, I used to like scrapping, and I think, this is what I want to do, and it was good. It was good to do, but that was, I went in the infantry basically, and that's what I'm a heart set on. I don't know why, I just did.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are like that though. They don't really know why. That's it.
No.
You want to go out, you want to do it, and it's as simple as.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, with paintballing and airsofting, it sounds really drastic. If anyone's listening, that's not really from a military background or doesn't understand it. Or paintballing actually being shot at are two different things, but
yeah, it is. It is.
Them down to the same sort of, like you say, adrenaline of the same.
It is
on a mission or whatever.
And do you know what? As well, I think looking back now with an older head, like 30, 37 years old, you know what I mean? So getting slattern age now, but at 19 and when you're younger, you think you're going to live forever. Like, that's why I'm sorry to say your car insurance is for the roof. Young lads' car insurance, because you think you can take that corner at 55 miles an hour when it's not really realistic at 5 miles an hour, but you still do it anyway. So I think it's that when you go in, you have that untouchable fear factor. It's not going to happen to me. I'm not going to die. I'm Johnny Rambo. Do you know what I mean? And like the training hypes you up a bit, because like my dad said to me, they never show the bullets coming back at you. Do you know what makes sense? Like in a training, like you do this, do that, do that. We took them over. Let's go over an exposition, and you're like, yeah, brilliant. So you think you get kind of like into a mindset of not brainwashed, but let's take the imposition. Done that. No one's been hit. Let's do it again. And in realistic terms, when you do like an advance to contact, which is like a walk towards an enemy line or an imposition, when the first couple of rounds go down, realistically, if they're any good soldiers, you've probably took 2 casualties already, because you're walking towards them not knowing where they are, and they'll be in a concealed position and they'll open up on you. And so technically, in realistic terms, you would have probably lost 2 or 3 men in the contact and you'd be down. And then in a fireman team, which is like you have 2 fire teams in a section, which is like say two sets of 6 men, and you have like 2 fire teams. If you lose 2 or 3 men in that fire team, you've lost like most of your firepower. You know what I mean? To suppress the enemy and do anything. So you're on the back foot, but they never teach you that so much. They do train to say, if this happens, we can do this. But again, that's not real when real bullets are whizzing over your head. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're not really, although they have to prepare you for danger and whatnot, they're not going to turn around and say, look, the likelihood is you're going to lose some men. This is what's going to happen. So it's more like we do, but that's on a full team. But if you don't have a full team, then obviously I've never been through it. To be honest, I'm someone who's always looked at it going, I say patriotic, but in the right way. Like I think serving your country is a good thing. I think if you're going to do it, you have to do it for the right reasons. And I just think it is something to be proud of. Not in some way. I know a lot of people have different views on being in the military.
I do. I'm proud of my service. And you can't always pick it. The problem you've got to do when you join the military or anything like that, you are right. I'm proud to wear the uniform, proud to serve the Queen, proud to serve the country. I'm not the type of person that when I hear the national anthem, I get the hairs back on my head, stand up. I'm very patriotic like that, and that's not just because I'm English. That's like, I have a lot of respect for Great Britain, like Welsh and Scottish soldiers as well, and Northern Irish soldiers. I've served with lots of, and they all have that. When you're in the army, it's that brotherhood, and I think it's that. You love Great Britain, you love what you're serving, what you're doing, but the problem is what comes with it, which I think you're right, what causes a lot of issues, why it was taboo sometimes, when soldiers get sent somewhere, the public or the political situation is not right to be sent where, but as a soldier, you don't get to pick your fights. You took the Queen's shilling, as I say, you just joined up. If you've been sent, you got to go to Iraq. You may think Iraq's a wrong war as a soldier. You still got to go there and do your job, serve, and you still got to look after your muckers around you, your mates. Do you know what I mean? So, unfortunately, there is times when the army does become a taboo subject. Like, the army shouldn't be in there. You ask most soldiers why we're here. They don't know, but they just do their job. And at the end of the day, it comes down to that, looking after that man next to you and having a bit of pride in your own performance and just, do you know what? I don't agree with it, but I've got to do it. And it's like civvies can relate to that. Unfortunately, going to work, we'd all like to sit at home and get paid wages and do nothing like we're doing now a bit. But unfortunately, we've all got to take that job sometimes we don't want to do. You know what I mean? Like you at the airport, it's like sometimes when you've you've gone to do something, don't agree with it, but you've got to do it because they're paying your wages.
yeah. It's I think that's where it's something we'll talk about in a little bit. Is obviously we've got PTSD and the mental health side of things.
Yeah.
Well, I don't want to be here. It's not something I want to do. I don't agree with it, but like you say, it's got to be done, and it's something which strikes me now when we talk about mental health. Like I say, we'll go into it in a bit more depth in a bit. But I've suffered with mental health in the past, and I've not served. And I always, honestly, I always used to.
I think everyone has.
I always go back and think. There's people in worse situations than me. I could be sat in the middle of a battleground being shot at, and I'm the one sad about this, that. But it's down to your own. And I always think if you go back to sort of World War One, World War Two times, you didn't have a choice. That was as simple as that. If you don't, you're going to be shot or put in jail. Simple as that. And I always think that mindset of why you literally don't have a choice, have that freedom just ripped away from you. And I think a lot of that stems. So, like you say, it's taboo, but it's also something to be proud of. And
that's brilliant. That's bang on. That's some of the stuff I try and use. And I think one thing I do like about the army, which it has given me good, and there is good sides about it. They teach you that mental robustness a little bit. There's going to be times when things aren't going your way, and you're going to be cold and wet, or like you say, everything can affect your mental health, finance. COVID, your football team losing can affect your mental health. Anything that upsets you and you can't shake off and keeps you pinned down for a long time is mental health, regardless of you speak about I've got a few friends, obviously you probably know them, who have suffered from mental health just being at work. You know what I mean? There's no shame in it. We're all going to get it. I think everyone suffers it now and again. Even I've been down where you get to a point you think, geez, I can't do this anymore. But then I think it's how everyone, like you found your own way of dealing with it. Well, there's people worse off than me. But I think everyone finds their own way out. And if you can't find your way out, obviously that's when you need to talk to people and get some help. You know what I mean?
Yeah, we may as well touch on that mental health side a bit more now then. But
go on. Sorry, I'm ruining your flow here.
It's interesting. It's something you could talk about all day. Now, everyone has a different opinion on it, and sort of how I personally think if you suffer with depression, then it's terminal. It doesn't go away. You just learn how to deal with that eventually over time. And my way of dealing with it is, and I think a lot of people, it's hard because once you realize this, it makes things easier, but you have to understand that you are only feeling a certain way because of yourself. If you said to me, like, obviously you can see I'm a Manchester City fan. If you turn around now and said, oh, Man City are crap, but I took that to heart, I'm letting that go to me. I'm the one going, that's really bad. Oh, but if I just go, it's another comment, and it's the same. It can be something as small as that, or bullying, or anything like that. But you're the one letting it affect you, and you can't. No matter what anyone says, it is hurtful, but you have to understand you're letting it be hurtful, and I think you understand that. And it's not the same for everyone because some people have different things, and different scenarios are much worse. But I think if you can get down to that basis of understanding that you're on the right track to doing better, feeling that way, that's how I personally deal with it.
I think you're right. I think as well, Matt, I mean, my wife suffers with mental health and stuff, and with depression and stuff all her life, and she takes tablets and gets help, but I think being around her has made me more educated of it. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So literally, I find that's probably understanding it from being a third party looking in at that makes me more aware of it. Do you make sense?
Yeah.
So I understand that. I mean, I don't think for me, I've never suffered with it, and it's really hard to get my head around. But seeing it affect my wife, I understand it a lot more now. Do you make sense? And it's not a thing you can just shake off. Do you make sense? That little saying, pull yourself together, or what you got mad, what you got to be miserable about, it doesn't really fit, does it? Unless you've seen someone with it or you deal with it, it doesn't happen. You know what I mean?
No, I'd be happy to open up about my experiences just to other people. If anyone watching this sort of going through something, it's hard to explain to anyone what it feels like if you've not had it. The best way I remember, and it sounds really like cliche, people go, what's it like? Or what do you feel? You just nothing. You don't feel it. It's not saying you're down, or it is literally sit in a room, dark room or whatever. You can sit there, stare at a wall, and nothing's in your head, nothing. You're not thinking.
Wow.
2 hours go by and you think you've been sat there 5 minutes. And I have to say that's depression sometimes, because that's how it goes. And then you go, what is it worth living for? Like, that's how bad it can get for people. Because you go,
100% of that. Yeah.
Backing through my head, I'm just sat staring at walls, and in a way, I'm happy doing that, because it doesn't. There's just, that's it. That's all it is. Until you do have to dig deep, then going, why am I doing that? What's affecting me? Sometimes it and lots of it and whatnot, but you, like I say, I have to think, break it down. Why am I doing that? Is it finance? Is it, and then go, right, I'm letting that happen to me. How do I distract myself? And there's lots of different things about it, but that's the best way I explain depression to someone that may not have had it, is you sit there for hours and at end, not having anything in your head, and someone goes, how are you? You're just like, I'm okay. They're like, well, you got depression, yeah, but I'm not thinking about anything. I'm just blank. And it's such a.
So here's a question for you, Matt. I mean, on that subject, because obviously, do you find all this spare time during lockdown and stuff? Like, bear in mind, this is like a global thing, but let's go back to UK. Do you find that, because a lot of people saying now, like the one who wants to be the mayor of London, I thought like Brian something, he's saying that this lockdown is not just damaging the economy, but he reckons it's getting to a point where it's getting dangerous now for people's mental health, because he says he's never suffered with like this. But would you say this has made your situation worse with yours, or has it helped you, or how is it none of the difference, or you think, I'll just deal with it?
And it's difficult, because to be completely honest, the first lockdown, which lasted obviously the longest period of time, felt so much better in myself, which was strange, because obviously I don't want to open up too much, but as in, we obviously work at an airport, and shift like tiring and exhausting anyway. That to deal with can sometimes be tiring. So at the start, it was like it was like time to relapse and recharge your batteries, and then it gives time to go. You thought the furlough come in, and as bad as it sounds, like, I'm getting paid to sit at home. So
no, that's right.
You go, I'm going to sit on my PlayStation, or I'm going to go to the shops, and I'm going to. Well, like with it's just supermarkets. It's your little trip out. You come home, you can sit and do whatever you like, eat food, drink beer, as I did.
No, that's It was a novelty, and as well, I think it was summer as well, wasn't it? So you could sit in your garden in the sun, and I mean, it was nice weather, and if you like you said, you go for walks. It was nice, wasn't it?
Yeah, but this time round is a lot more difficult, because it's sat at home. It's happened again. And this time it doesn't feel like there's an end goal. Like, we know what we're facing. Before we didn't. Now it feels when are we going to be able to just do simple things like go to the pub and meet a friend, or be able to go shopping and buy some new clothes and
play football again.
But just silly things that really, now I'm like, when do we get to go away? I'm at a stage in my life where I want to start looking at sort of buying my own house and going to the world, things like that. And I'm like, I can't book any of that. I can't start to do any. And then that's for me where I'm starting to get, I'm not sure how I'm going to feel.
You know what? I do think I do feel for the younger generation like yourself and the one generation below you and stuff, because a lot of them are like just coming out of universities or starting new jobs, and the world's just shut down, isn't it? The economies, everything's shut down. If you got a job now, it's like, who knows? You know what I mean? It's just a really wrong time to try and, like you say, launch into the world, isn't it? Get your own house, get your own career. It's just, and not just that, at that age, you're social. You know what I mean? Like, for me, it's not been too bad, if I'm honest, but because I've got the kids, my social life's dropped down a lot now from where it used to be. I still miss the pub. I still miss going to play football and stuff, obviously. But do you know what I mean? Like, going out and doing like more social things at a younger age, I miss that. You know what I mean? Because I've got kids now, so it's not a problem. But I think the way it's affected me is that my support network with the kids, like my mom and dad, obviously, I'm Haley's mom and dad, now literally they're gone. So like, you're literally you're in here on your own with your head pounding with kids all day, which is great, and you should be grateful. And like you say, what am I moaning at? My kids are safe. I'm safe. I've got a job, health, money, whatever. But you can't help but think, well, that's still affecting my head.
It shouldn't matter what the situation is. It affects everyone differently. Your situation is unique to you, not to anyone else.
That's the thing everyone's got to look at. What everyone's mental health, different things affect people, different things. Do you know what I mean? And it's just how it, like you say, it's unique to the person.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll go back a little bit to your career, Neil.
Go on.
So obviously you joined the military, joined the army.
Yeah.
When did you join, and how long was you there, and where did you serve?
I joined in 2002, and then literally I got out. I think it's just before 2007. I got out. But I did do a bit of time in a TA before I joined the regular army, about 2 years in a TA, but I didn't go anywhere. That was just me seeing if I like it, and it seemed a good idea just to join. And the training took so long, I thought, well, I might just join the regulars because I thought I can't be waiting to keep getting trained up. I just wanted to chuck myself in it. So, as I say, once I did phase one, like I spoke about, phase two was where everyone goes off and learns your branch of training. So if you can be a cook, you go do I don't know, 9-10 weeks how to be a cook. Do you know what I mean? After phase one, that's your second phase. Whereas, like, for me, it was like that was my infantry course. So it was going to Catterick, where it's up north in the horrible cold weather and horrible training grounds. And that's where you learn your trade, like how to do your firing and like your training, throwing grenades, you shooting your anti-tank weapons and doing all the stuff, your green face, you know what I mean? Grass in your helmet and running around playing army from in essence, you know what I mean? And getting more fit and beastie.
Yeah. So just because people might not, what was TA?
TA is like a territorial army. So it's basically where you join at part-time. So you do your normal job, and then once every now and again you go to a training center, like, or you do a bit of training, or do like it's part-time basically. You got no there's no like you sign a regular army, you got to sign it for so many years, and that's it. It's like a contract with like a football, I suppose. Whereas like a TA one is no contract, it's just open. If you don't want to play, you don't want to go, you know what I mean? You just say, no, that's it, I'm done. Hand your kit in, and you can like demob really quick. That means like get out quick, basically.
Yeah.
Whereas regulars, once you're in, you signed a contract, that's it. You I said to you before, you're going where we're sending you, and there's no way. You got 5 years this mate, get it down your neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
So okay then. So and where did you serve then? Once you sort of passed out, obviously you did pass.
Once passed out, I went to my regiment, which was based in Chester at the time.
Yeah.
That's like every regiment gets posted all from around the country and the world, and mine was in Chester. And I was there for about 2 years. Within them 2 years, we got sent to Northern Ireland, my first posting, south of they call it Bandit country back in the day. And basically that was to do like peacekeeping, and just like obviously be a president. Back in the day, you'd be going to just like stop the IRA and stuff, and keep the peace, and but that was probably my worst tour, if I'm honest. I know it sounds crazy, but it was just peacekeeper. But it was supposed to be 6 months. It went to 9 months because literally the people we were waiting to come and take us off were in Iraq, and they needed so many months off. They came back from Iraq and they need so many months off before they could redeploy.
Yeah.
So at the stage I was in, the British Army was really stretched. We were like deployed all over the world, Afghanistan, Iraq. We're still in Northern Ireland. Obviously, we still peacekeeping duties all around the world, which you have to have so many in Kenya, Belize, and all over the place, doing different jobs. Not all combat roles, but they're different jobs.
Yeah.
So Northern Ireland was 9 months, and it's a bit like lockdown. The way I can describe it, you lived on a base which is no bigger than a 5-a-side football pitch. It had mega high walls, and about 12-foot walls. It had towers. All you did all day was on guard duty, and literally you rotated from guard duty, like main base, then you'd go out on like patrols. So you'd go all night, every day, whatever hour. You jump on a helicopter, they drop you off somewhere in the middle of a field. You patrol around with stupid weight on your back and kit, and in the mud and wet island where it always rains, and electric fences, and you basically walk around trying to deny the ground to the IRA. By that stage, the IRA took a back seat, and obviously like Good Friday Agreement was kicking in, and they were going political, which was great because that was the best way it was going to end, to be honest. So I'm glad that happened. But literally you'd walk around doing that all day, all night. So sometimes you'd go out all night, you come back, dump your kit, have a quick shower, then you go back out again, chopper again, drop you somewhere else. You do a couple of vehicle checkpoints where you'd be like on a lane and you'd just checking people's IDs and making sure they're not the bad guys, or you know what I mean. Some may say we were the bad guys again. This is what the interesting talk about the army. Does that make sense? Did I agree we were over there? Probably not, but had to go.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, so it's difficult. So let's just argue. Did you have any sort of experiences over there that got into any conflict?
We had a few. Yeah, had a few moments where we had like we were setting like a vehicle checkpoint up, where that means you have like some soldiers in the middle with like an Northern Irish policeman, the PSNI, and the sergeant. And when vehicles going through, you'd ask them where you're going, blah blah blah. How are they? You try and be like civil. You won't be like, you won't be pointing weapons at them. You'd be like quite, hearts and minds. You're there to keep peace and just try and make sure everyone can go to their normal jobs and stuff. So you'd be checking there like where they're going, what they're doing, let them go. And now and again, you'd get like a car or a van that would just go straight for the like checkpoint, just try and run troops out there. Like literally, if you stood in their way, they'd run you over. There's no way of stopping. So they obviously got something to hide, or they're up to no good. It could be smuggling, it could be terrorism, it could be anything. It could just be someone like who's not thinking straight, who wants to go through. Yeah. And we had these stingers, like you throw, the police, and they throw the nails across the road and they punch the tyres. Well, we had these. The army had a ski ball thing where it was like a net with spikes, and as a car went over it, the net wrapped around the tyre.
Okay. Yeah.
Stopped it. But the problem is, to pull it, you'd have to have like two strings across the road. You'd have to have the net lying down at the side of the road, and then the two guys in the field the other side listening to the radio. And then if you're a sergeant, I say pull, pull, pull. Our job was to run with the string and pull this net across the road. So when the car went over it, it wrapped up and took it out. Well, that was literally then my first experience of someone lost a finger, basically. He didn't let go of the wire, and it took the finger. The car wrapped around the car. The car kept going like down the road for about 10, 20 meters, and the string basically just pulled his like two fingers off, like just completely pulled them out of socket.
Yeah.
Completely just pulled them off, ripped them off, pulled them off, and it was just two like sockets where like you could see where the bone ligament would have been. And I remember doing like patching them up and calling Alan, and it was like a bit of a shock. I was like, I was like, geez, that's quite serious. Do you make sense?
And that's not even like getting into in some form of gunfight or anything like that.
No.
Doing your job and someone's fingers are pulled straight off.
No, that's right. Yeah, that's right. I mean, another time, like it's literally where we were doing another checkpoint again, and there's a van come through, and he's like, it stopped, and these guys with balaclavas were in the balaclavas.
Yeah.
And we're like, okay, let's stop. They slammed the van in reverse after seeing us walking down a lane towards them. They slammed this van like, imagine the lanes like a bit like Normandy, really, like really high mounds of dirt and grass. And so the lane's a single road, and either side stupid high banks, and you can't really move off, so you can't turn around. You'd have to reverse.
Yeah.
So they reversed. They put their van into the hedge. The back wheels were spinning. Then three men got out with balaclavas in like camo gear and just ran. And we were like, okay, what are these guys? Are they terrorists? Are they smugglers? We don't know. So we chased after them. We cut them off, and we met them as a cross field, and we dropped to one knee. We had to like issue a warning, like halt British Army on fire. They kept coming, cocked our weapons, went down to our knee. We gave them another warning, halt British Army on fire. By that stage, I think they were like, shit, we're surrounded by about 4 or 5 of these squaddies. We'll just go down. They went down. Afterwards, they weren't like IRA, but they were smugglers. They were trying to go back across the border from the north and south, like the Northern Ireland, and smuggle. It's a massive industry now. Hence why there's a lot like they don't want the border up, like in the Brexit, soft border. They don't want no hard borders, so that's pretty much why. It's a lot of smuggling going on.
Yeah,
it's more smuggling now than there is terrorism. There's a lot of money to be made from just moving stuff backwards and forwards across the border.
It's weird to think that's obviously it's only an island. It's not so far away, and all them problems weren't that long ago. Obviously, you still have very, very few problems now, but it's still there, and it's.
And you get caught to riots, the pubs, which is this baffles me again. Like you think. Really like a domesticated country, it's like across a little river, like so that sliver, isn't it, between like the English Channel and the Welsh? It's there. And I remember being like, thinking, hang on a minute, this is like the Wild West. People have got AKs out at guns, they're doing punishment shooting, gang crimes, they're doing riots still. And you think, this is like you say, it's like on the domestic door of the, you know what I mean? It's like, what is going on? It's crazy.
And it was not allowed, but no one was punished for it.
So yeah, literally, I think another thing interesting, which got the head around me and toughened me up a lot, was and I didn't really understand politics and religion and all that sort of stuff. I was naive, 19, didn't really know the world, don't really know what's going on. And I remember, like, you sit like a QRF, which is a quick response force, and you'd be like, the Land Rovers with they're called snatch wagons, and you'd sit there on a Friday, Saturday night in your guard room on the little base in like a seven-side football pitch, yeah, with the big steel gates. And literally, you'd wait, you'd think 10 o'clock, okay, 11 o'clock comes, Friday night, the pubs start kicking out, everyone's hammered, especially the lads. They all start rucking, the Protestants, Catholics, they all start having fights, or not just that, problems themselves. You could be called out just because someone's fighting, kicked off in the street. So the police won't go out there. The police won't respond because they don't want to deal with it all, because it's like too dangerous for the police. So the army are the police in technical terms. So we would crash out with, like, helmets on, riot gear, shield, batons, not to go and to like go, let's go get them. Let's just split them up, stop them fighting. So you go in there. As soon as you turn around the corner, bricks are starting to be chucked at the Land Rovers, catapults and stuff chucked at you. And like, literally, you're going to get it. And literally, before long, if you're lucky, you'd be able to get in between them, two rows of troops with shields, and separate them. But the problem I learned was, it soon turned to be like, hang on a minute, let's forget about kicking crap out of each other. There's the British. Let's kick shit out of them.
Yeah.
And they unite against you. And before you know it, you become like, hang on a minute, what the hell am I doing here? I've been sent here to stop you killing each other, and now you're now trying to kill me. I mean, what the frickin' hell? I mean, it was crazy to think about it. And many times, like, people got hit by bricks and their helmet knocked out, or their face smashed, or people were like, it was brutal. It was just some crazy riots.
It's funny because obviously we talked about the military, but to me, it doesn't really sound like a military story. In your head, you think of like Iraq, Afghanistan, that style of, across the desert, trying to. That just sounds like something the police should deal with, and you like a riot, someone's.
Yeah, and I mean, if there's any Americans watching, I suppose you can kind of put it towards like a bit like, how can I put it? A bit like Vietnam. You were sent somewhere and they didn't want help, but your government told you they wanted you there. Do you make sense? But you spoke to every civilian. They didn't want you there. Protestant, Catholics. I mean, I think we antagonise the situation by being there. I personally felt, but I mean, there's guys who went for the heights, like troubles in the 60s and the 80s. I mean, some of their stories are horrendous. You know what I mean, mine was very much like tip of the iceberg, not even like, it was just more monotonous and mundane, and the mental drain of it, being hated all the time, people chucking cups of piss at you as they walk down the road, people just throw a cup of piss at you, or tub of paint at you. I mean, another thing which I found really, again, this is mindset. I can understand the older generation. They lived for the troubles. They know the troubles. The history there. I get it. But I was a new generation. I was 19. I didn't know the troubles. But when I went there, I was open-minded. I want to treat these people good. Let's try and be there. Let's try and look them good. But the mindset of them, you had 6 and 3-year-olds trying to hit you with sticks as you walk past down the street on a patrol, or throwing stones at you, or firing fireworks and drain pipe at you, like making like a pretend rocket launcher, firing rockets at you. And bought catapults and bows and arrows, and you're like, they're 6 and 7. Where do they get hatred from? Where does it get it from? Because I haven't got that hatred, and I'm 19. So what I'm trying to say is the problem. Do you know what I mean? It's not the problem. It stems from whoever's teaching these kids to hate. Hate. Kids don't hate at 6 and 7. I've got a 4-year-old, and they don't hate anything. The only thing they hate is me telling them to go to bed. You know what I mean? Because they want to play still. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And they don't even hate you then, because at the end of it, I love you, Daddy. No. You know what I mean? But they push their look. I don't get how you can instill so much hatred. I mean, I know there was bad stuff happen on both sides in the heights of it in the 80s, 60s, but for the hatred still to be there, that's quite scary. And what does that tell you about human nature? Do you know what I mean? What does that say about human nature?
I think, like you say, that with the older ones, sometimes it's almost medieval. It's just something that passes down, and there's always going to be 2 sides. But for kids that young to be involved in
hatred like that
is just ridiculous. And
the language, and
you see
it dead and stuff.
Everywhere. I mean, it's more of a film thing. I don't know how real it is, but with kids in the Middle East, when they're almost like spies, and they're sent out. You go and look who's on patrol. We're gonna. We'll
get onto that in a bit. We'll get onto that. I've got some. Yeah, in Afghanistan, that's very, very true. When you watch it, and like it's it's a different life out there. I mean, it's hard to explain. I mean, if I thought Ireland was like a different life. I mean, Ireland, like you speak to some of the police officers, and before they get out of bed every morning, they got to check under their car to make sure there's no bombs or anything under their car. I mean, what type of country went? Geez, it's just mindset. Like, what the frick? Yeah, like you wouldn't like you walk down the street and you wouldn't stand next to a wheelie bin because, to be fair, that wheelie bin could have a bomb in it. Or if a van is low back, like the wheels of the van is low at the back, you'd be thinking, what the frickin' hell's that van? It may just be a masonry bloke carrying bricks to do some work, but you're thinking, in my experience, if a trainer got, well, that could be bloody mortar, or that could be a bomb in there. Jeez, honestly, and it makes you paranoid to hell. But
yeah,
as you say, it's just across the sea.
It'd be horrible to think like that all the time. I mean, like I say, I won't go into it too much, but the work or the jobs that where we met as friends, you have to have that mindset in
all the time
to go, oh, that's a bit funny.
Question it. Question everything. Yeah.
Yeah. You think, hang on. But on a bigger scale of going, he wants to kill me just because I'm in the army.
Yeah, I mean, I remember I was walking with some Scottish, and this is not just like it's not just the English, because we say the English, but it's the British Army. I was walking with some Scottish lads from Black Watch Regiment in Northern Ireland, and he was a corporal and there was a few privates, and they were just with us, just making up the numbers, because as you get short, regiments can send troops to each other as backups. Like I'll talk about more later anyway. We'll talk about Middle East and stuff, but and I remember like walking with a Scottish lad, like bloke. I mean, he's in front of me, so he's about 10, 20 meters in front of me on patrol, spreading out because you don't want to get hit. Or if something goes boom, you risk like how many could get killed. If you bunch together, you got more chance of you walk up in it, so you spread out a little bit. And I remember stopping, and he come walking up to me, and like this group of like 18, 19-year-old like group of lads, Irish lads, very angry of us being in their village. We're only walking through it. We're not stopping their way of life. We're not impeding them. We're just walking through it. And literally, they're all in this guy's face, this guy. So I carried on walking forward to just support him a bit. Not like weapons bearing, just like weapons slung down the side like he was. And they were in our faces, you know, you English bastards, you English bastards. And I remember the Scottish person like saying, whoa, my mate, because you can call me British tosser, blah, blah, blah. And it's a bit of a joke. He went, but don't call me fucking English. He's English. You know what I mean? I'm Scottish. And I found it quite hilarious. And I just cracked up laughing. And even they kind of cracked up laughing a bit. You know what I mean? Like, and I thought, well, there's a bit of humility for you. Even though these guys are so aggressive, the fact that this Scottish bloke just took offence to being called English after you called him every swearing name under the planet. And the only thing he's picked up on is the fact you called him English. Yeah. And we just laugh about it. And I think, do you know what? That you do get little humour, you know what I mean? And I remember, I shouldn't say too much because I've got to be careful because it's all like secrets, well, signed, secrets, that. But I remember being like on a voting day, and it sums up my mindset. And I was stood outside a voting station, like just so people can vote in Northern Ireland. And a person of interest, high interest, came up to me, and we had to recognise them all. And he said, he said to me, why don't you F off home? And I think I was I've just missed my birthday. It was 20. I was just turned 20 like the day before, and I was over there in November. And I said to him, I said, mate, it's my birthday yesterday. I'm 20. Do you think I want to be stood out here in the rain with you assaulting me? I don't want to be here as much as you want me to be here. And he says, well, we can agree on something, can't we? And then he walked inside, and then afterwards, the Irish policeman come to me and goes, you just spoke to someone of like super like high level, and he's literally like the one who runs the bad guys, one of the ones who run the IRA. And I said, what did he say to you? And I just said, he just said he didn't want me here, and I said, I don't want to be here. And I said the only way, and literally we kind of agreed, the only way this is going to end is if both sides stop being silly and just go, do you know what?
Yeah,
let's get on with life. Forget about that. You can live in the past and you can live on hate, but if you let hate decide your future, you're never going to progress. Do you know what I mean?
I always think in the smallest ways of hate, regardless of what form it's in. If you ask someone why, more often than not, they won't be able to give you an answer. And when they do, you ask them why again. And you keep asking why, they can't really. And that's, if I ever find myself going, I really don't like that. Like, you're a Man United fan. I'm a Man City fan. We can agree we don't like Liverpool.
Yeah, we agree. I mean, again, my hate for them has changed a little bit because now I don't hate them so much. I look at them as competitor now, healthy. It's rivalry now, rivalry.
But when you go why, and then you go, why do you hate that thing that you don't like about? And it's the same with anything. Why? Eventually, you come down to I don't know why. and that I find fizzles out, and that's like weird because at your level in the military, and me as a person, I couldn't have just gone up and said that to the top guy, but if someone higher than them had said why, and the other side went why, you come down, they both go, I don't really know.
What are we doing this for? What are we trying to achieve? I mean, the problem you've got, I mean, I don't want to get too political on it, because like there's people over there still who hate the British, and I understand why. I understand, like, I'm not trying to be naive and saying that, you know, we didn't cause atrocities, but of course they did as well. But I forget about the atrocities they caused, because unfortunately, that's not going to change the outcome which has already happened to them. Do you make sense? Unfortunately, that is something I can't change. And if I hold on to that hate, it's a bit like Star Wars, a bit, isn't it? Really, like if you like the dark side, if you let the hate consume you, you turn to the dark side. Yeah. Does that make sense? I know it sounds. I don't want to sound like hippie, because I'm not. But obviously now, you know, there is a time where I do believe that there's only so much talk and dialect you can do with certain people. And eventually it's going to turn to a situation where you're going to have to get a stick, and if they've got a stick, you need a bigger stick. Do you know what I mean? And it goes down that road, I'm afraid. But is that the right answer all the time? No, I don't think it is. But unfortunately, sometimes both sides drive, like you said, like both sides get to a point where it's not working dialect anymore. And you know what?
Especially when you go to, like, with, obviously you're going to talk about in a minute with the Middle East, and that sort of, obviously a lot of like sort of Al Qaeda, ISIS, them sort of coming from that way. It's ingrained so deep, the hatred for things, and they believe so deeply that there isn't any change in it. And the difficult thing is what do you do with that if they're going to cause mass harm? Again, I don't want to get political.
I think
just to talk about it openly is that so ingrained deep into them, the hatred and the belief of, if you die, it's the same.
How do you defeat it?
With like the Japanese in the world wars with the kamikaze, the belief of dying was such an honor, but it's not an honor to die for something that doesn't matter really. It's how do you ever fix that problem? I don't think you can. But again, we're here to talk about your experiences in that. But it's something you could.
I think you've brought some. I think you've bring some great questions. I mean, that's a great question, and I think that's one question that I think every British soldier or everyone who tries to go out there in the Middle East, and I just want to put like claim to this notion that I had I've got a lot of Muslim friends, and what they get told sometimes by people is, and they ask me quite clearly, when you go out there, will you like to shooting women and children, babies and stuff? I'm like, are you for real? If you fire your weapon at anyone or anything, you got to justify why you're firing it. You get done. You know what I mean? You're scared to fire your weapon sometimes. You know what I mean? Especially Northern Ireland and stuff. You're like, I don't want the hassle of the repercussions of actually saying why I did that. But no, I mean, at the end of the day, the British Army in the areas we got sent to, we were always about security and like letting the people live how they want to live, not under the rules of the Taliban. Or so, for example, we'd like sometimes do protection while a group of engineers would go in and build a school. Do you know what I mean? Like for the girls and like little boys and stuff. And then you find out that the Taliban obviously don't like women being educated today and stuff. And do you know what I mean? And equal rights, I don't like that. And you know, and it's hard because then you go back and 6 months later, the school would be burnt down or destroyed because it doesn't fit in with their ideological views, which is, you know, I'm not saying it's right or wrong. Obviously, I think it's wrong, but they think it's right. So, do you know what I mean?
It is such a strange one because, like you say, you're trying to do something good, and the media is probably the devil in a lot of ways. You don't hear positive news very often. And it just seems to, especially social media more than the mainstream media, puts out this thing that military, especially not just the English and the British, but like the Americans, everything. There's such a hate towards what they do. And I don't think people really understand what they're doing and where they've been. Like you say, for the normal people on the ground, it's going, we're just doing a job and we're there because we have to be there.
I mean, you build relationships out there as well. Like, you know, like the kids on the streets and stuff. Because you're patrolling this, like the areas or the like they call them AORs, which are area of interest, where your patrol base would patrol. Or I mean, the problem with the Middle East, it's especially Afghanistan, because it went on so long. The war changed dramatically. You got to remember when we first went in, the Marines went in with the Americans. They actually sided with like the main the main what's it called? They're Northern Lords, basically drug barons, basically. Like they run their own private armies. They sell the heroin and poppy, and they didn't like the Taliban. So we actually went in with them and we took out the Taliban and pushed them right back. And then it went into like a peacekeeping role. Then after that, for a few years, we went into like the British Army and Americans and ISIS, which are like not ISIS, ISIS. Anyway, not like United Nations, basically. They went in and they were like peacekeeping, and it was like rebuild Afghanistan. Do you know what I mean? Stop. Let's give these guys democracy. Let's give them jobs. Let's give them something to live for, rather than keep picking up guns and trying to kill each other. Do you know what make sense? Like it's trying to rebuild a country to make them think the same as you. The problem you got, some countries don't want to be westernized. You know what I mean? It's some people, they don't want to live like the West. They don't want like the new ways. They want to live their old ways. They're happy with it. Do you know what I mean? And and this is where the problem you've got. You're trying to instill what says, because we live the way we do in the West, why is that right for everybody else? It doesn't make. Do you know what I mean? Like if China wants to stay communism, China wants to stay communism. Doesn't, because they got to go to imperial globalism like we are. Do you know what I mean? The West. So I think it's a bit it's dangerous. You got to understand the people, why you're going in their form, how you think you're going to help them. I think we went in a bit naive, thinking no plan. Let's just go in and get the Taliban with the Yanks, because obviously on September 11th, we had no really big plan, I don't think, to how okay, we'll escalate this, but how do we de-escalate it? How do we get ourselves out of there? Because I think it was a bit like Afghanistan, kicking a wasp nest. It was all good fun at the time, but now the wasps are out flying around. How do we get them back in, and how do we stop this and get out there without being stung? Do you know what I mean? And I think that's the most simple term I can put it, because again, what happened with the Middle East, which a lot of people didn't know about this, it weren't just the Taliban in Afghanistan. Towards the later years, what I spoke to a lot of my mates, like, our interpreters would capture people, insurgents and people, and I'd talk to people, and they wouldn't even be speaking Afghanistan. The interpreter, like, what language is he speaking? Don't know. What do you mean? He's not, don't know. So you're like, hang on a minute, especially like the American units up north on the border of Pakistan and stuff. Anybody who had a gripe with the West, who just wanted to pick up a gun and go kill some Western troops, was just coming across the border. They weren't even fighting for Afghanistan like this. Like, you had like different parties of like different units. And it was just crazy. Like, it's just the way, like, the bigger picture of it, you weren't even fighting. It was like 4 or 5 factions at the end. You were fighting people, the locals, who just didn't want you there. You were then fighting, obviously, the insurgents of the Taliban. Then you'd fighting freedom fighters across, and anyone else had a gripe. And it's like very hard to pin who you're fighting.
The thing is I think what the media come across on social media is where you've just said is you had people that just didn't want you there, had nothing to do with any any allegiance to anyone, but they just didn't want you there. But the thing is, if you're being shot at, although you don't want to be there yourself, you're not going to just get shot at. If you have to shoot back,
yeah. And the biggest question most people say, and I think this is the best way to explain to civilians, and I get this a lot. And they go, "Oh, could you just shoot someone, kill your weapon, or do it?" And I said, "No, I couldn't." They're like, "Oh, I couldn't do that. I couldn't do that." And I promise you, right, it's a bit like, I'll put it in simple terms. If you're at a match, Matty, right, and you're Man City, you're cheering at a match, and let's say you're watching Liverpool, you go out after with your dad, and three blokes just come out of nowhere, no like dialect, and they just start swinging punches at you. You've got 2 options, haven't you? You're either going to run or you're going to stand and fight.
Yeah.
And they go, and you can't run, because when in a fight you can, but when there's bullets flying around, where are you going to run to in an open field? You're going to shot even quicker, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you got no choice then to, like, obviously you got no choice then to, like, stand there with your like mates, because you don't let your mates down either. So I think it's the easiest thing on the planet to do when you have to, like, look at it that way. But
yeah, it's scary, like you say. You have to do it because, and that, I think that's what comes when I say about the social media. People go, "Oh, you're killing an innocent person." Yeah, okay, maybe you have, but, or not you per se, but that style of things. But you didn't have a choice.
So yeah, so you're right, and that's the thing. You start doing it for, like, yourself at the end of the day, more than, like, and your mates, than you do for Queen and country. And that sounds really bad, but do you know what I mean?
You have to. You're not gonna. The Queen isn't gonna pop up and save your life in them situations. No. Unfortunately, as much as you'd love her to, but it's.
And I think as well, it's that, I think a bit of bravado, is it, when they're like, you don't want to, like, you maybe, a lot of troops say they're scared or whatever, but I think everyone's scared inside, but I think you just don't show it. Do you make sense? Even when you you walk out the main gates and you do your foot patrol, and you think, well, if you think about all the things which could happen to you, you probably wouldn't step out the gates. If you think, I might step on an ID and be blown to bits, or I might get sniped, or I might get a contact here, or you could 101 things, suicide bomber, someone could walk up to you and blow themselves up. You'd never leave the base. And I think you just kind of just have to think, you stay together as a team and try and get through it mentally together. That makes sense.
Well, there's a guy on YouTube, and I can't remember his name. And it's stories he's told to us, nothing I'm sort of, but he was answering questions about him being in the army. He was in the US Army, and he said there was in situations where you had like gunfire and things, and it would just start like that. And people say, "Were you scared? Were you, of dying or being shot?" And he's like, "You don't think you so long of it. You almost have this mentality of going, I'm invincible. I haven't died yet. I haven't been shot yet." But it's not till it happens or to someone really close to you that you go, "Oh, that's real."
See, I think when I speak to like a lot of my mates who've had 4 or 5 tours out there, and I got out afterwards, and they were saying like, he's probably right. You do, because again, I remember I said at the start with the training of phase 1, like they never show the bullets coming back at you. Let's just keep going, and you come that like invincible machine. I think that's probably what the training's like that for, because when you come into those situations, it kicks in, and you don't think about. You ask it. I mean, you don't wrong. Anyone tells you they're being shot at, or when you're worried about situations. Of course, you're only human. Of course, you do get worried, but you don't want to show it. But he's right. I think it only starts to affect you when you start seeing your casualty losses or your first people. Do you make sense? So your mates or your people get wounded, or that's when it starts hitting home, I think, and that's when it starts to be a big thing. Do you make sense?
Yeah. So were you ever in situations where you were in near death experiences, or in a fight where that you were really struggled or something?
I've had times where I've thought maybe this is not a good time to be in. Yeah, we did some compound clears in Kabul. We were like with the SAS. We were only supposed to be perimeter protection, so I was not saying like we were like going in with them doing what they do, but basically we got briefing off guys who were very much like just standard clothing, non-British issue weaponry, no badges, no insignias that are English or British or whatever.
Yeah.
And you knew they were SAS, but you didn't say it. Literally, they showed us a map and a bit like Black Hawk Down. I can describe that. They had a compound they want to hit, and it had Taliban people interested in leaders there, and they said, right, but we can go hit that. We'll wipe the building out and go and do it, but we need someone covering the perimeter. So if you imagine like a building and you have 4 corners, we were set up as like perimeter defense. So we'd face outwards, making sure no one's coming in and getting them from behind. So we literally set up our like just defensive positions on this in the middle of Kabul. It was streets and everything, and literally they went in and like raided. But before they went in, what the situation changed, which I find quite hilarious, is there was now, instead of being 1 compound, there was 2 compounds. And this bloke who's special forces, casual as you like, just comes and goes, as we're getting ready to go out, like loading up and stuff, he goes, "Oh, change your plan." He got a map out to my sergeant, like, "There's the other building next door. We're going to bin off the protection. You guys salt that building, grab the guys in there, and we'll do the one across the road." And I'm like, hang on a minute, this is situation changed a little bit. And I was like, hang on a minute, I'm supposed to like 1 minute, I'm just sat there like, nice and cushy, in cover positions, making sure like, no one's going to bother us. I mean, but now we're actually kicking him doors in. I'm thinking, geez. So we went out on the nighttime patrol, and literally, we went. They went in. They did their bang bang and the flash bangs and all that sort of stuff and kicking doors. And so we came to our big compound steel door, and all the walls are like 7 foot high there, made of mud, and like they got steel doors. And so I remember like I went to like run up against it and kick it, and I just bounced off this door basically. It was like steel. So like if they filmed it like Jeremy B, like bounced off it, and then somebody else did it same, and then 5 of us all did it, and we just couldn't get in it. Like the door was like bang, bang, bang. And by now, military terms, we've lost the element of surprise, because the people in the compound were like, well, who's making all that racket, smashing the doors and stuff? And so, in a short story in, we managed to get the gate open a little bit, because I was the smallest guy, the skinniest one there. They pushed me through first, but the problem is I got half stuck, half in the door, half out. I couldn't. My one half of my body was like in the compound. I could see people running around in the darkness, like shouting and stuff, and I'm thinking I'm going to get shot at in a minute. And then my other half, my weapon was like, this arm was like stuck on this side, so I had no weapon to do. I couldn't get my weapon through. I just remember saying to the sergeant, I'm stuck. And literally, I remember him like running towards me, just drop kicking me like through. Like I remember 2 feet just drop kicking me through. I span into the courtyard, land on my face. My weapon's like on sling, but it's on long sling, so it kind of like spilled out my hands because I hit the ground as much before. It's pitch black. I'm now thinking, I can hear these people running around and see people. I'm like, what the frick? And then literally, I'm just trying to find my weapon on the floor because I want to see my sling. But I pulled my sling, pulled it towards me, and I was just about to start, like, about to start saying, issue the warning, British Army, stop all fire, and start engaging. When literally my sergeant just literally shouted at me politely, he said, "Oi, like, Tosser, Rambo, open the gate. You're not taking them on your own." I was like, "Yeah, shit." So literally, I opened the gate, and then they all came through, and we started like literally sweeping the compound and getting the guys, identifying them, bag and tagging them, and then helicopter extraction out with the boys in black.
Yeah. So I mean, I don't know how much you can say, and we'll talk about, maybe we can talk about this between me and you, and if you're not comfortable for this to go out, we can crop it out. Yeah. How much involvement in the terms of, I say when you say bag and tagging someone is eliminating them. I don't want to use any other word.
Bag and tagging, like,
it's comfortable to say, that's fine. But
bag and tagging is just basically like it's you basically, the people who are left, or the ones that have, like, you've managed to get on top of them before they've decided to like go toe to toe, and obviously that's when people start engaging and killing them if they had to. You know what I mean? But bag and tagging is people like you've literally run up to them, either hit them with your rifle butt, or you've gone down, plastic cuffed them, like a bit like a very physical arrest. And it has to. It looks physical and rough because it's designed to be. And people like media, you're being too rough with them. You've got to hit them hard and fast because they could have a concealed weapon, they could wear a suicide vest, they could drop a grenade. Unfortunately, you can't be flouncy. You've got to be. It is bag and tag on, basically. You get them down any means possible, whether that's unconscious, breathing, whatever. And then you sort them out, basically, and then detain them and get them off.
Okay, so is it more time than not you were detaining rather than just killing? Not that.
Yeah, in my time in Afghanistan, as I say, it's a slippery beast, Afghanistan, because it changed a lot. In my time, my tour, it was more, let's get the bad guys, detain them. If they give us trouble, we'll fire back. You know what I mean? But it was more like doing like quite physical arrests, and now and again, if you had to fire, you're going to fire. That's it. You was always fun. But the second tour, when my mates went on, I mean, that the bit again, the whole beast had changed, and now they were like, we're just here to fight, because it was what we were doing wasn't working. Do you make sense? So we were like, we were trying to be too fluffy, and unfortunately, they only know one thing. They respond by the sword and die by the sword, I'm afraid. You know what I mean? But
so how many tours of Afghanistan did you do? Just one? Or?
I only did the one. Literally did the one, and I left the military. I did like lots of training exercises, like the jungle, did jungle warfare, did a mountain warfare course, mountain courses. I did lots of training all over the world, like Kenya, Belize. But I did Northern Ireland, Afghanistan, and we were stood to go to Iraq, which I really wanted. I know it sounds bizarre, but we got stood down last minute. That was like, we got called back to base, told to mobilise, just about to get on the buses to go to like the RAF base to go, and then they stood us down. So I was gutted. I know it sounds crazy, that, doesn't it? Because I thought it's a medal I ain't got, and second of all, I thought my cousin would just come back from Iraq and he was telling me all about it, and I thought, yeah, let's go and do it. So it's just Northern Ireland, Afghanistan for me, but it was more than enough, to be fair, mate. I kind of look at it as like cat's only got 9 lives, and I don't know how many they've used, but you know what I mean. How many times you could push? You know, I didn't want to risk it again. Plus, my girlfriend at the time, she was like, "You got to leave the army," because I wasn't seeing her, and I left the army because of her. But I mean, do I regret that in hindsight? Yeah, I probably do. But there again, would I be where I am now? Who knows? Do you know what I mean? So it's really weird how life works out in some ways. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, mate. So it's all crazy, some of the stories. So like I said, with the sort of near-death experiences, was that sort of raiding that house or whatever it was, the closest you feel you come to, this could kick off really badly? Or
there's been other times, like literally, like other times where we were like sent to do a base in up north. It was an airfield, and we were in a safe house. And basically, it's like a place where it's got a compound, it's got some walls. There's about 10 of you, and there was about, I think, about 8 of us British soldiers. There was about 5 Norwegian troops, a couple of Swedish troops with they were fast air, so they call in airstrikes in troops. They're like their version of the RAF, I suppose.
Yeah.
And then there was there's some other troops. I think there's some French soldiers there, and basically one night this drunk warlord, like I said earlier, this warlord come down. They got like 1,000 men and tanks and stuff. They had their own armies. He come down saying that he wants the British and all these foreign forces out of Afghanistan. He was high on drugs or something, and he said, if you don't go in the next 24 hours, I'm going to bring my tanks down here and flatten your safe house. And literally we radioed through and sat phone, told we were out in stick miles away, told our bosses. They were like, well, we've got no one to send to you. You know what I mean? I said, well, yeah, but there's only about 15 of us here. That's not just British troops. That was and he was like, well, just have to dig in, hold out, and we'll try and get some air support to you. So all night, bless the Yanks. I mean, they flew air support for us all night, literally round our compound. You could hear jets flying over, literally as a deterrent. And in the end, they were going to come down. We could see them at the edge of town, the tanks and stuff and the men. And you thought, this is going to be butchery. I mean, we had a plan where we had a compound. We were going to just sacrifice the perimeter walls. And we were going to the British troops were going to defend the top of the roof, so we were sandbagging the roof, building different machine gun positions and stuff. And then we said the other troops would be in the house shooting from the windows. And I always quite find it funny. It's no disrespect to the French, but they were like, yeah, we'll defend the basement. I mean, what the freaking have you got defending the basement? You can't even fire your weapon down there. I just found it quite late. We'll defend the basement. I was like, yeah, well, 6 of you, good on you. Cheers for you, lads. And I'm not trying to run them down there. I just found it what? So the Norwegian and the Swiss were like, we'll shoot for the windows, bar the doors. You guys on the roof, fire from above, and the French are in the basement. I don't quite get what was going on there, mate. But I thought that
it's one of those almost you have to find the funny side to some things. In such a situation, could it be serious? You have to laugh and go, right, well, you guys do that then.
I mean, to be fair, I don't think they were a combat unit, but I just found it funny how it was all hands to the pump. You got a weapon. There's no such thing as a combat unit when, as I say, everyone, my understanding, British Army, everyone phase 1 gets trained to be a soldier first, and then a chef second. So when he said we'll defend the basement, we're not combat troops, I'm like, but you're in the army, you got a weapon system. Everyone's gonna have to fire it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If they get past us, they're gonna come down for you. You're gonna have to fire it eventually. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is fun. Like I say, I find the funny side in some of that.
Yeah.
We'll start to cook to the end of sort of your career in the military and things, because it's been really interesting to talk about. And it's something that I'm hearing firsthand as well, because we've never really spoke about it. It's a question you don't have to touch on, but obviously dealing with loss and that mental health side of PTSD and things. You said yourself you've not really dealt with PTSD or mental health side of it.
I do suffer with a little bit, I think, because my wife Hayley says at night I'll grind my teeth, or sometimes I'll shout random things, army things and stuff. So I think it's just the pressure of it's not actually seeing someone die. I think sometimes it's just mental stress of 6 months going out day in, day out, all the time, 24 hours, because maybe you live in the operation. You're not at home, time to sit down. Even when you sat in your base, they can mortar attack you, rocket attack you like they did and stuff. So you're never switching off. It's always been on that. Yeah, it's always been up there. You're never down here. Yeah, and I think literally that probably affected me. And also going on patrol, it's going out the gate, going on patrol, not knowing whether you're going to come back or what you're going to encounter. I think it's that mental strain more than probably affected me. As I say, my tour was generally quite, not quiet, but it was good compared to some of my mates' tours were horrendous. I mean, I've heard some shocking stuff, and they suffer really bad with it now. Yeah, and I just think it's. I suppose my question to you is: do you think, with that on mental health, do you think having one shocking thing happen to you and affect your mental health, or having 7 to 8 months of shocking, not shocking, but stressful stuff, which is testing it, so a prolonged time, is that more damaging to mental health, or do they still have the same effect? You both get that type of like something. Do you know what I mean?
It's difficult, Rick, because I've not been in a situation like yourself in the military and things like that. I'm very, very fortunate and touch wood. I've never been in a situation where I've lost a family member, like an immediate family member.
Yeah.
And I know one day it will happen. It happens to everyone. I would say that a major impact to one thing could be losing a family member. And you never, I mean, again, I've lost people, but never on an immediate scale. So I guess that sort of thing could be related to loss. And that one thing can really affect you, I suppose, depending on who that person is. But you learn to deal with it, and you find that it happens to everyone, and everyone that has been through them scenarios learns to deal with it in their own way. Some don't, but people do. But that long period of time, of that constant period of time, I think would be more damaging for me, of knowing.
Well, I think that's what I found. That's what I found. Anyway, for me, it was just that constant. The going, no switching off. I mean, the only time they switched you off was when literally they take your weapon off you, which sounds crazy. Stick you on a chopper back to like a Bagram or a base, or some base, an air base somewhere. Like I think it was like you go to Kabul, or it was I think where's it, Bagram Air Base in America. Anyway, one of them. Anyway, literally, I think not Bagram. It's what's it called? Oh. Well, anyway, it's one of the US bases. Most time it's Kabul we got flew from, but literally you'd fly to the straight to air base. You'd get literally weapon in, and literally 9-hour flight straight back to UK. That's it. You're on 2 weeks leave, so you've just gone from one extreme
to the other.
Not carrying, and then in 2 weeks, then literally you come back, get back on that same plane, get your weapon, and back out to it again. There's no like soft intermediate. Like it's like. It's straight in, straight out.
I think, like you said, it's crazy because you could think for 7 to 8 months, or however long you're out there and whatnot, you could be in a situation of you could die today, every day, every day.
We're on like a sample thing. Like we went to Camp Phoenix, which is an American base, and we pulled in there, and we were in Land Rovers, and there's only like three Land Rovers, like a multiple, literally. So it's about 15 blokes and 3 Land Rovers. And we pulled into this American air base. We went into their rest facilities because it's got really good. American base always got good stuff. So we went in there. We had some cans of Coke. We had a bit of down, like half an hour to wait for our job we were doing. We had to escort this colonel somewhere, an American colonel somewhere. So we went there to meet him, and we had 20 minutes. So we had a quick drink. While we were there, the American base, the air sirens went off. And the Taliban were firing rocket shells into the base, and we had to get to so it just shows you can't even though you're in a base, you can't switch off. You've got your weapon all the time with you. You carry your weapon all the time. You're ready to rock all the time.
It's because then, like I was going to say, you could have that 7-8 months thinking I could die today, or you could have 7 to 8 months of going, there's nothing really happened, but then one day in that
a lot of troops speak about that. I know if you say 99%, 90% of the time is boredom, and like what you're doing it, but it's boredom. That sounds wrong, but you're patrolling, but it's boredom. I mean, you get like the 1-3% of excitement where you think, shit, I wish this never happened. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? So, you're right. I mean,
it's one of those, and it's something you have to decide whether you're thinking about joining the military, whether it be the Army, the Navy, the RAF, or if you're already in it. But I mean, you're someone that's come from it. Would you advise people to go in if it's something they want to do?
Or... Yeah, I would, man. I would, because I think it gives you great life skills. I mean, take away all this it gives you confidence. I mean, it teaches you like discipline. I think it makes you mentally tougher in some ways. I'm not saying it, obviously the adverse side of that, you could get affected by PTSD if you go somewhere, God forbid, but so I think positives outweigh the negatives, to be honest, for me. That's what I think anyway.
Because it's always crossed my mind of doing. I've been close to joining the Army, all 3 actually. I've been close to. The closest I ever came was to joining the Navy when I was about 17. did all the application, and literally just before I pressed submit, I left it for about 2 days. I don't know why, because it was only the application. I just decided, no, don't want to. And and it's funny how you decide that. But I mean, maybe if someone who thinking about it, join the reserves with something they could do to get a feeler for it. But
I would. I mean, I'd go join the reserves first, or do your research. I mean, I think what makes you laugh about is some people just have an impulse and they go and do it. Like you, like started doing the application, and I think it's just whether you go through it or not. I mean, even like during the training, you can pull out when you want to a certain date. After that date, you basically signed up.
Yeah.
But, so you can go. You could, a lot of people, if they go phase 1 training, they can get all the way through phase 1 training and still not actually say, I don't know if it's for me yet, because I think the cut-off point, I'm sure it's like halfway through phase 2. So even when you like, say if you want to be a chef, you go through phase 1, okay, I'll stick it out, get to phase 2, you get halfway through your training then, and then they hit you with a decision saying, well, do you want to sign the contract or do you want to leave? Do you know what I mean? So you get plenty of chance to actually trial it before being stuck in. Do you make sense?
Yeah, I've heard that. I've got a friend, and due to his role, I can't say. I could tell you specifically, but I can't say too much on it because he's still there, and his actual role, could probably put him in some trouble if I said too much. But I've spoke to him about it when I've thought about joining and things, and he's said as well, like, do it because you can pull out if you want to, and you have a tester. He says it sounds silly, but you will have that time to test out what you're going to do, and he says he loves it, absolutely loves what he does. He's been sort of one of the, again, I mean, I've not seen any names, but he's been to the Falklands, he's been to Belize, and he absolutely loved it and stuff. So I mean, just from speaking to different people, I'd say if someone's thinking about doing it, you don't know what to do, I'd recommend. I've not been in it, but I'd say if you
no, I think go into it knowing that you're not going in to look after children. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, you're going to get some really good times. I could tell you so many good. I mean, maybe we need to do like another day. Because I mean, we need to continue as part 2. I think because I don't want to rush it. And I think there's so much I can talk about it, and like the positives and stuff, and some of the jokey stuff that's happened, and great memories. I mean, we've talked a lot about not the negative side of the army, but the side that means this is part of the job you will have to do. You know what I mean? It's like training for football and going, well, eventually you have to play a football game. Do you know what I mean? When you're playing the football, you're training football and you're down the pub watching lads and you have that camaraderie. But eventually, at the end of it, you might have to play a football game and get stuck in. That's the way I can look at it. Do you know what I mean?
Before we round off and before we finish it, because
we can continue this. I mean, I'm happy to do tomorrow if you want to do part 2, and we'll get the listeners in again and we'll go again. I mean, I don't want to feel like I'm rushing you, and I don't want to be like, but my rug rats are getting hungry now. And if they get hungry,
we can definitely carry on.
I'm more scared of the wife and the kids than I am a Taliban. Put it that way. You know what I mean?
We can definitely carry this on and do a part 2. Yeah, it'd be great. The one question I'll finish on today,
go on.
Racking my brain. I know it's a stupid question. It's got nothing. Afghanistan, right? You're in however many pounds of gear in all your combats and all that, and the weather conditions obviously usually fairly hot. How did you cope with that?
It was, believe it or not, I'll answer that question best I can. When I went there, it was when the tour, because 6 months, it was a summer tour to winter tour.
Yeah.
And that's because it's 3 months summer, 3 months winter. And when I first got out there, it was hot. It was like dusty, hot. You got everywhere in your weapons, your vehicles, it was like kit, everything. And literally, it was crazy, yeah. And then it was like carrying the kit. You'd be sweating, like your body armor. You'd be like your helmet. You'd be absolutely. Oh, hang on. All right, you trouble. Give me a second. Hang on a minute. Got the little one shouting. Right. So literally, it was really hot and it was like ridiculous carrying a kit. You'd lose that much water. You'd have to carry water, ammo, and it was hot. It was really bad, real tough. But on the second half, it was that cold, like literally, it sounds like a bit of the Dumb and Dumber scene. Your snot would freeze, your eyes, you had to wear goggles, you couldn't touch your weapon bare hand because it would stick your hand to your weapon, especially like some of them patrols and like in the Wimics, which are like Land Rovers with like the roof cut off. Have you seen them with the roll cage? And they got a mounted machine gun. You'd be driving them and the wind chill, we got like -8, -9. It was like ridiculous and you were like freezing. And bear in mind, like the British Army still send you out in summer kit. say like in desert fatigues, meant for like 55 degrees, stupid heat, and now you're dealing with Arctic snow, which is like up to your knees. I mean, and your vehicles couldn't move. And I've got photos, Matt. I'll show you. Like from one minute, like it looks gorgeous, boiling hot desert. Next minute, it looks like Antarctica. It's freaking crazy weather out there. Crazy.
It's funny how you can have two ends of the spectrum in one place.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's another thing as well, like the nights as well, like sometimes the nights, especially winter, go that like warm in the day, like a British summer day, and nighttime, it drop freezing. I mean, I don't know if you've heard that story, Bravo 20 with the SS patrol, and literally they go out and like, oh yeah, it's gonna be nice and warm, it'll be right. So we went out in summer kit, and like nighttime, it was dropping to like some minus temperatures. They were like freezing to death, going down with hypothermia. You know what I mean? So yeah, it was really from one extreme to the other. But to ask the question, the heat. It was hard going.